Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, watching it all fall apart for the Democrats is just glorious. You know, this Joe Biden thing is coming back to haunt them, and I'd say, boy, do they deserve it. They deserve every little ounce of what they're getting right now. The cover-up is totally crumbled. The truth is now out there for everybody to see, and now we got all these Democrat talking heads across the media, basically just in complete submission. I got two viral clips I want to show you guys that I think really showcase this concept. But before we get into the clips, this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's first play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by Ground News. Well, folks, we're once again in the Trump era, and you know exactly what that means. That means the media establishment is in full-on spin mode. In an information war, your biggest weapon is clarity, and that's where Ground News delivers. Folks, Ground News is the best news aggregator in the business, and they don't just aggregate the news, they got tools that take it to a whole new level, and their flagship tool is their blind spot page. Basically, you want to see the news that the mainstream media doesn't want you to see? Well, on Ground News' blind spot, you could see exactly that. Take this one, for instance. New York Attorney General Letitia James is now being investigated by the FBI for mortgage fraud. It's a huge story. That almost seems like mainstream media blackout on the story. I wonder why that is. Well, Ground News' blind spot shows you that for every single story out there. In times like these, you need to stay informed. You need to understand what's going on, and that's why I cannot recommend Ground News enough. And of course, here's the deal. I'm here to offer you guys an exclusive Liberal Hive Mind Ground News offer by simply clicking the link down below, that's groundnews.com/hivemind, or scanning the QR code on screen. You can get 40% off their Vantage plan. That's 40% off for full spectrum clarity in this rigged media landscape. Go ahead and take advantage of the promotion. A huge thank you to Ground News. Now back to the video. All right, folks, so let's first start off with this one right over here. We've got our favorite deranged leftist CNN panelist. Not even really bothered to learn her name. The moment you'll see her face, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And then we've got Scott Jennings, who just absolutely obliterated her. And just take a look at some of this slick maneuvering coming from this Democrat mouthpiece.
For a long period of time, he was serving as the president and also was a candidate for re-election. I mean, I think if you're telling the American people for any period of time, not only am I competent to serve and capable of serving today, but I can serve 4 more years, you do deserve, as an American citizen, to know what is the full health situation of the president. The number of lies that were told on his behalf, whatever we hear today, by default, the American people are going to say, well, they lied to us about one thing. They're never going to tell us the truth about this thing. It sounds terrible, and I think we should pray for the president and pray for his health. But as a political matter, I think a massive amount of trust has been lost and a massive amount of credibility was spent on covering up for him, and it's going to be hard for the Democrats to get it back.
Are we forgetting here, and I agree with everything that you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but are we forgetting here that Ronnie Jackson, when he was the White House doctor for Donald Trump, said that Donald Trump was in good enough health to live to be 200, that he had such incredible genes that he was going to live forever? What I would love to do, actually, you're absolutely right, is to have somebody who's an unbiased doctor, not somebody who's the White House physician who obviously has a relationship with the president, to give us the full readout on the president. And I agree that it would be a HIPAA violation, except I think if you run for president, that kind of HIPAA violation needs to be codified in some way, that you are entitled as an American citizen to see what the mental and the physical condition is for whoever's in the White House, regardless of who it is.
Are you arguing that Joe Biden was fine during his...
I'm not arguing that he was fine. I'm arguing that...
You keep pivoting back to Trump, who's clearly fine. I'm just asking you if you're arguing that something was not wrong with Joe Biden.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because Joe Biden is no longer the president.
But he was, and that's the story tonight.
Donald, stop. Let me finish what I'm saying, guys. Let me finish something. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. I would dearly love to see a cognitive test from him, because as somebody who's lived in the New York media market for the last 40 years, I can tell you that the Donald Trump that I knew in the 80s is not the Donald Trump that I hear today.
So your answer to the cover-up is Trump.
My answer is...
Your answer to every question is Trump.
My answer is
the cover-up is the story tonight.
The president...
That's the story.
Yes, the cover-up is also the president of the United States, who happens to be Donald J. Trump today, is not... Yeah, you could laugh all you want.
I am definitely laughing.
Absolutely pathetic. So helplessly cornered by reality. You know, that chick on the CNN panel is usually the hard party liner who doubles down on the Democrat rhetoric. But now here she is, looking totally defeated, and I'm loving this attempt to seem rational, as if she gets it.
And I agree with everything that you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said.
She signals as if, yes, oh, I agree totally with a lot of the things that you're saying there, Scott Jennings. She's signaling as if she's a thoughtful Democrat who's really being introspective on this issue and internalizing a lot of the stuff that's being said. But then you could tell that that's a manipulative charade because she instantly goes right back to, but what about Donald Trump? Unfreaking believable. These people are not serious. And talk about a disingenuous double whammy. Starting off with the pathetic attempt at a whataboutism, this exaggeration of Trump's medical reports as being dishonest. Trump's doctors told us that he would live forever and he was made out of steel. Look at Scott Jennings' face when she said that. First of all, that's an outright lie and exaggeration. And secondly, on top of the exaggeration and lie, she tries to compare that to Joe Biden's health cover-up scandal. You can't get any more disingenuous than that. Oh, I totally agree with a lot of what you're saying, Scott, but actually, here's the most insane partisan dishonest talking point where I double down on everything once again. They don't get it. They've learned nothing. And it's crazy because all that's required here, the only missing piece to this recipe that would be beneficial for the Democrats, is a little bit of frickin' humility. Some damn humility goes a long way, I'll tell you that much. You people don't need to double down and engage in this slick messaging maneuvering. You need to simply atone. I mean, literally just apologize.
We're sorry. We're sorry. I'm deeply sorry.
You need to atone. And it seems like one of these leftist hacks seems to have got that memo at least. That's Jake Tapper, who's in full-on damage control mode. This CNN clown who ran interference for the DNC's narrative non-stop from 2020 to 2024 is now trying to act like the only sober voice in the room and releasing a book on the Biden health scandal as if he's some authority on the issue. Meanwhile, he's one of the most guilty parties. Well, I'm sure you guys have been following. He's been getting, how can I say this nicely, absolutely pummeled all over social media the last couple weeks. But I guess the message got through, and slowly but surely even Jake Tapper is realizing that he does in fact need to atone.
Some of the stuff you report in your book, we knew and we were reporting on. The current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none. But you did. There was an attempted cover-up. It could only ever work if you allowed it, if the press allowed it. Some of us tried not to, and some of us were complicit.
I do not have great connections with the Biden White House.
Well, clearly you have a lot of sources. You say you talked to over 200 sources for this book. So you have some you could have called and worked.
If we're going to do this, let's just stick to the facts here, okay? When there is a damaging report...
That's what I've been doing all along.
I'm talking about what you just said.
Didn't miss the biggest story of the century when it comes to presidential politics, and one of us did. You covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. Time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president.
I don't think that's true.
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
Do you want to apologize to Lara Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago. I mean, I don't want to disclose the contents of a private conversation, but I thought the conversation went well. But I mean, after we did the research for this book and I realized how bad his acuity issues were, I called Lara Trump and I said, you were right.
She was totally right.
He's being absolutely roasted. You know, Democrats have been beaten to submission on this stuff. I mean, they've so thoroughly lost. And you can tell across the board, I mean, they're on their back foot. Their back's against the wall. They have been so thoroughly exposed as dishonest actors, as propagandists, as liars, as everything wrong with politics. And now they got to figure out how to regain trust, how to regain credibility. Not an easy feat, I'll tell you that much. And certainly not going to work if you're still playing the same dishonest games, like pivoting to Trump with your pathetic whataboutism nonsense. If Democrats are going to be able to move forward from this stuff, well, they're going to have to do some real soul searching. The Democrat Party and the complicit media essentially needs to beg for forgiveness at this point. And honestly, if they continue this course straight down to political rock bottom, well, they might be left with absolutely no other choice now, huh? Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.